Hey guys, it's Justin. I have an incredible guest in the studio today. If you love adventure and you love business and you want to be inspired, guys, don't miss this one. It's going to be a great one. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford Podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford Podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today, and I hope you've been doing great since the last episode. If you're loving the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at the official Justin Ford. Again, at the official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also here on YouTube. Got an incredible episode and guest in store for you today. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they lived next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Next Door Lending is currently licensed in 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. As you guys know, anytime I bring a guest on the podcast, that guest, I believe, has to add value to the listeners. And my guest today has been in the real estate industry for a long time. He's absolutely crushing it. He's done a lot of phenomenal things, doing a lot of great things now. And he's not only a guest on the show, he's my brother in the Lord. He's my business partner at EXP, and he's a great guy. Welcome to the show, Ryan Ogle.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
And for those of you guys that have heard my audiobook, you might know this voice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've been in this room. I've been in this room talking before with you.
And we spent a lot of time. I think it was, we just said like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. So thank you for doing that with me. That was awesome.
Of course.
Yeah. So you drove down from Grand Rapids.
Yep.
2 hours. Pretty easy drive though, right?
Yeah, actually, and because it's Brighton and not, Center City, hour 45.
Okay.
That was good.
A lot easier drive than last time, because I remember the last time you came, it was right after I think those tornadoes and those storms happened.
Yeah.
So you had kind of a delay a little bit getting here, because I remember that was pretty crazy.
That's funny. I drove by that again today, that those woods are still gone.
Really?
Like you can still see the path of that tornado. I was like, man, that was something else.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, tornadoes are. We were just watching that new Twister movie. Mm-hmm. Obviously, those are like some big F5s. I don't know if those type of tornadoes really hit here. I mean, I know they get pretty big, but it's crazy how this tornado just forms out of the air and just creates destruction. It's nuts.
It's on my bucket list to chase one.
You want to be a storm chaser?
No, I just want to
chase one.
I think it'd be cool to see one.
I've never seen a tornado before. I honestly, from a distance, as long as it's not hurting anybody, I would love to see one too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they do that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they create destruction.
I know, but I'd like to see just one.
Can you sign up to go be a storm chaser?
I think you could. There's probably guys who would charge to take you along.
Probably, and I think primarily in Oklahoma, isn't that where the tornado capital is where out in
Tornado Alley out there in the middle of Nebraska, Oklahoma,
just out there. I think it'd be cool to just kind of see that.
Yeah, across the farm, right?
Right.
From afar. And yes, don't wish one because
they do create destruction.
Death and destruction and but it'd be cool to see one, just the power of it.
And even just see how it forms and then just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. God's
I'll invite you if I find a
let's do it.
Better be careful what I ask for him.
But you are an adventurer, and we're going to talk about some of that today, because you climb mountains, not hills, even though you tried to convince me we were going to go climb a hill and it was a mountain. You do a lot of hunting, a lot of cool adventures. You've done a lot of cool things.
Like the outdoors.
Yeah, I like the outdoors. That's the thing. If Ryan's not with his family and selling real estate, he's in a river somewhere. He's out doing hunting or climbing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into your journey, like what's been your favorite adventure, right? Because you've done a lot of them, but like out of all the things you've done, what's been the one that kind of really stands out the most that you love?
So that's a tough question because I've lived life and I've been blessed to do, like if I've wanted to do it or if it's been on my vision board, I do it.
Yeah.
So probably climbing Mount Kilimanjaro is right there.
Yeah.
At the top.
Kilimanjaro, how many feet is that?
It's like 19,400 something.
Is this the one that you told me, like on your way up, they were bringing a guy down who had passed away?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And you just kept going.
Yeah. I mean, you want to hear that story?
Yeah, tell it.
So
let's kick it off.
You know, we had a guide and there was probably 12 guides in that group. But
where's Kilimanjaro, by the way?
In Africa,
okay,
Tanzania.
So you go over to Tanzania. Yeah. Okay.
Tallest mountain in the continent of Africa. So there's the 7 peaks, which are the 7 tallest mountains in the world on each continent.
Yeah.
And that's the tallest one in Africa, and it's the tallest dormant volcano in the world.
Wow.
But it's really a hard hike. It's not technical. You don't have ropes and pickaxes and things like. There's no difficult climbing, but most people, I think 65% of people make it to the top.
Wow.
And the ones who don't, it's either because of weather or the altitude.
Yeah.
Because it is very high. And before I went, I Googled it to do some research, and it said 10 people a year die on the mountain or something.
Wow.
And that's probably one of the most hiked mountains. So that's just going to happen, whatever it might be. It might have nothing to do with the mountain. Yeah. Someone has a physical
So
issue.
you knew what you were getting yourself into.
A little bit, but we did the 7-day route so that we could acclimate, and it's easier to get that mountain done if you do a longer period of time. And I think after day 1, probably day 2, I was like, okay, these trails are pretty defined. I love our group, but I also like some solo time. That's where I kind of get rejuvenated. So I'd walk ahead knowing that if we were a couple miles from maybe the next camp, that I could kind of just walk by myself, enjoy the woods, get there.
Yep.
And it was on the 5th day or whatever, 6th day on the way to summit camp. So the highest camp we'll have before we summit.
Yep.
And I mean, I've never been to Mars, but that's what I would assume it looked like. It was like shale and rocks and just looked like a different planet. And we were in the clouds. So I could only see like maybe 10 feet in front of me.
Wow.
And I was by myself, and I was walking because I took off from the group. And literally out of the clouds comes, they call themselves mountain soldiers, but these are the porters. These are the Africans who are locals, who are the guides who bring you up the mountain and carry your stuff, but they call themselves mountain soldiers because they work really hard and they do that mountain every week.
Wow.
So out of the clouds comes 10 mountain soldiers with 5 guys on each side carrying a sleeping bag, and there was a dead Chinese hiker.
Wow.
In the bag. And I mean, they literally walked right next to me, and like I could describe the deceased person right now to you, and it hit me.
Yeah.
I was by myself and I was tired, and 5-6 days of hiking, and I was like, what's up in the clouds, right? Wow. They said only a couple people die each year here.
And here's one of them.
I just happened to see, right?
Yeah.
So it was an experience, but it was part of the lesson and the stuff I needed by going to that mountain, and we're not promised tomorrow.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So you were definitely walking by faith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So at what level of the mountain was that when you saw the mountain soldiers come down?
On or real close to the top. I was very close to the final camp, which is from there you summit. You do the hardest part in the highest elevation gain, and then come back down to that camp. Yeah. And then go down the mountain the next day.
So you made it to the top.
Yeah. What
was that feeling like, knowing that, not everybody gets to do that, not everybody makes it, and then you made it?
Yeah. You're tired. Honestly, it's kind of surreal. Like, I just spent 6 days climbing this mountain to get to the top. We get up there and they're kind of rushing you. I kind of got mad.
Yeah.
Like, we had like max 45 minutes because it's really high altitude, and then they want you to go back down. So I almost feel like I didn't get to fully enjoy it.
Right.
I go back and look at my photos and wish I would have walked around a little bit more on the top.
Yeah.
But it was hard. So that day I saw the deceased individual. We get to camp kind of early evening. We have dinner. They say take a nap, and then they wake you up at midnight to summit.
Wow.
And I didn't know what the summit was going to be, but that was the hardest thing I've ever done.
And it's at midnight?
Yep, and there's a couple reasons for that, but it was like that was the last 3,000 feet. But I guess picture walking on a sand dune straight up. Each step you take, you push back a little bit.
Wow.
But this was loose rock.
Wow.
And it was straight up. And it was only 3.1 miles, but it took us 8 hours.
Holy cow.
So that was the hardest part, the highest elevation gain, the less oxygen. After doing it, I'm convinced they have you do it at night because you'd quit if it was during the day and you could see
what it looked like.
Yeah, because it was hard.
At any point during that last summit, did you feel like quitting?
I didn't, because I woke up and felt good, but a buddy that I brought with me, he woke up and wasn't feeling good, but they tested his blood and his oxygen level was fine, so they told him he could go. He kind of got delirious, so he was getting altitude sickness.
Oh, wow.
He kept turning around and wanting to go back down, and he was kind of talking some nonsense.
Wow.
But I stayed back, so we fell off from our group, and I basically yelled at him for 8 hours to get him to the top, because I was like, we came here together, we trained together. I'm not going back saying I left you.
Right.
So I made him get to the top. So I think all my effort was concentrated on that.
Yeah,
that I didn't get
added
to, really,
to the heart too.
I didn't really get to think about
wow,
my side of it. But yeah, it was beautiful. We got up there right when the sun was rising, and you could see forever across Africa. And being a Christian, like, that was God's creation all the way. Like, I saw His glory up there, and
yeah,
it was neat, man. I have story after story up there, but coming down is where something amazing happened.
Tell us about it. So that's 19,000 feet up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us about what happened when you came down.
So we do the summit, and it was extremely hard, and you make it, and you're dead tired, and then I realized they had brought 9 porters, mountain soldiers, with us up for the 9 of us, because you're all in different shape at the top.
Yep.
So you might go down in different, speeds and everything. And I think it took so much in me to get up there and get my buddy up there that I was whipped. So I was like, all right, I want to go down. So I was the first to go, and one guy went with me. And going down, oh my gosh, I was prepared for 5 days of hiking up. Going down is way harder.
Wow.
You're just jamming your knees and your toes, and you're trying not to fall.
Right.
So you're almost like holding back, and you're going down that loose rock again.
Yeah.
But we would just go for like a half hour, and then we'd sit down and take a break, and then we go again. We sit down and take a break, and my guide, his name was Emmanuel. Go figure.
Yeah.
And for those out there, that's a holy gentleman from the Bible, right? So we're sitting there taking a break, and Emmanuel turns to me and he said, "Ryan, why are you a good commander?" And the way he said it, though, it was like God was talking. Like, it hit me in the heart. And I said, "What do you mean, good commander?" He goes, "You're a leader. You're an encourager. Why do you always say good job to all the other groups who pass us?"
Yeah.
Because I just do that going up the mountain. Like, they weren't even part of our group, but like, "Good job, keep it up. You're doing good. You're gonna make it." And he goes, "Why did you bring Corey to the top? Why didn't you just let him go and go on your own?" And he said, "You're a leader, you're a commander, you're an encourager."
Yeah.
And the reason it hit me is I think that's a natural gift that God's given me. Mm-hmm. But I had to get out of my crazy, hectic, stressful environment and business here to go be an encourager.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was doing that. But I think I just do that when I'm in my natural state.
Yeah.
So in short, I mean, to pretty it up, I had to go all the way to Africa to have a guide named Emmanuel bring me up a mountain and tell me
that's awesome
what my God-given gift is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it hit me hard.
Yeah.
And it was impactful because I had been chatting with that man throughout the trip, because I was like, "Hey, your name's Emmanuel." So, they all had Bible names. Well, our moms were Christians, and they named me. He's like, "I used to be a Christian, then I was a Muslim, and now I just believe in earth. I believe in the mountain."
Yeah.
And that guy had climbed that mountain probably 150 times.
Holy cow.
And it's one of the only ways to make money there. And he did it so that he can send his kid to private school to have a better life, so his kid doesn't have to grow up and be a mountain soldier on the mountain.
Yeah.
So it was impactful. I went there looking for something, but when you go looking for something or ask God to show you something, then that type of stuff happens. Because I think you could talk to some of the other guys in my group who were on the trip who maybe didn't have that same awe-inspiring experience as me.
Yeah.
I heard the group behind me saw the deceased individual, but they didn't like walk right next to him.
Yeah.
Right. And they just kind of from a distance. And so I got what I needed.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Out of that trip.
How many years ago did you go on that trip?
I think it was roughly like 2018.
18?
Yeah.
Okay. So about 6 years ago. And you said it was the hardest thing you've ever done. You know, how has that played into just your life journey? Because I remember when my first time ever experiencing the mountains was back in like 2000, I think it was like 3 or 4. I went to an Amway conference out in Denver, and me and my buddy drove there. I had never seen the mountains before. We get into Denver. It's really late, so you don't even see the mountains. We wake up, and to see the mountains for the first time was amazing. And so what we did was we whitewater rafted in the Colorado River during the day. This is the middle of July. So we're like in shorts. It's hot. And then we drive up to the Continental Divide where, you know, the water flows one way east or one way west.
Yep.
And when we got up there, my buddy, his name's Stefan, he just gets out of the car and starts running. Like we had to put a sweater on because it was cold up there. And he started like running up the mountain. And I'm like running, and I realized how hard it was to breathe up there.
Oh yeah.
And it was difficult. And we weren't 19,000 feet up, but I remember God spoke to me up there, and he said, anytime that you climb to the top or you're going to the top, it's going to be hard. And I grabbed a piece of mountain rock from up there on the mountain, which was a really weird looking rock. It had like stuff growing out of it. And I brought it back with me, and it sits in my landscaping at home. At one time it was in my office, and every time I look at that, I remember the hard that climbing that mountain was, and that God spoke to me on how life is going to be that way. How has that experience helped you with your journey?
Well, like I took away 5 things from that trip and that climb, and one of them, we are very fortunate that we were born in America.
Yeah.
Everyone there wanted to come here.
Yeah.
They talked about like, hey, would you sponsor me, or how could I come to, right? So we're lucky for that. We don't know hard work.
Right.
Those dude 150 times he's climbed that mountain just to make a living.
Yeah.
And we think we work hard.
Right.
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 Also, I left my hotel one morning, and the security told me not to, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I grew up in the hood. I'm not really scared to go anywhere. So I was like, I took a walk down the dirt road, and I saw a school, and these African children walking to school, and dude, they were all so happy and smiling, but they didn't hit hardships of adulthood yet in their country. Right. So it just showed me that innocence of a child, and how, you know, we have it good until it really it's just so that hit me. But then also we are capable of so much more than we think. I mean, that was just step after step. We climbed the mountain, and my stepdad, who was with me, who's climbed mountains all over the world. He's also a guy who's done those like 50, 100-mile running races through the mountains. So he's done.
Well, those are crazy.
He said that Summit Day was harder than any marathon.
Wow.
Than most things that he's done. So there you go. Like I didn't think I was capable of doing stuff like that, but you just go step after step and you get it done. Yeah. So I took away some profound lessons. So I love that. I mean, let's transition here. You and I are both guys who will fast once in a while as a practice and a discipline. If you can climb a mountain, if you can fast and not have food for 5 days, you can do anything, right? So to do these hard things is to kind of just prove like, hey, you're created strong. Yep. You have more in you than what you know. Yeah. So that way you hit a tough deal at work and it's falling apart or whatever, you're like, I can get through this. Right. I've done harder stuff than this. Yeah. So that's why I keep pushing myself. I love the adventure. Yeah. I love the challenge. I love the beauty, God's creation. I get spiritually rejuvenated out in nature. Yeah. But that lesson of, okay, I can get through the little things at home.
You know, I love that because for the longest time, I would look at guys who do stuff like that or do the marathon or do the 100-mile thing or the whatever they're called, Tough Mudder and all this stuff. Yeah. And I would always think, like, why would anybody push themselves through that? That's crazy. Yeah. But it's like what you just said, because if you can do those tough things, then the stuff that pops up during the day, during the week, during life, although you don't discredit those things, they're not as hard right? Like you said, like, hey, if I can climb a mountain and go to the top and experience this, I can work through a deal falling through. I can work through
easily,
this, that, or the other happening.
And then the experiences, right? Like I could sit here and complain about a bad day or a tough day here in America, and I think about Emmanuel and the children I saw in Africa and their struggle. I don't have it bad.
Right.
Someone always has it way worse than you do.
Yeah. That keeps things into perspective. And I always try to not only coach on that, but also use that, because my bad day or my experience that I'm facing, someone would trade to have that all day long. And that just kind of keeps your perspective balanced.
Yeah. Have you heard there's a story, and I don't know if it's a meme or a Instagram reel or whatever, but it's like, I woke up and something happened and I was running late, and then I got a flat tire. And so I was late to work, and I ended up I forgot my lunch, and it's like, man, this is a bad day. Woe is me. Life's crapping on me today.
Right.
And then they flipped it and said, you had a house to wake up late in and a bed.
Right. Yep.
Right. An alarm to not go off. You had a job to go to. You had a vehicle to take you to the job.
Yep.
You had the resources to buy lunch.
Right.
Right. So how do you look at it?
Yeah. It's all perspective.
All perspective.
For sure.
And I think you got to get out, do hard things, travel the world if you can, some of these things, right, to get that extra exposure and just open your horizon.
Because what's his name? David Goggins, I think, is if anybody wants to learn how to push themselves through hard stuff, have you ever read his book or heard his book? It's crazy. And what he talks about in there is how by doing all the crazy hard stuff that he does, it keeps him mentally strong. And what I've learned is, now that I'm on this journey of running and doing all this stuff, it keeps me mentally strong because I'm doing hard things. And if I'm doing hard things, you automatically feel more confident about yourself, and you're pursuing this challenge, and you're overcoming challenges, and it's making you more confident, and you just feel stronger.
Yeah.
100%.
You're capable of so much more. Yeah. And the mountain climbing is, I call it a death march. You just kind of black out and take one step.
Yeah.
And you don't think about much. You take another step, before you know it, you hiked 8 miles and are done for the day.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you take problems in life and just take them one step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get anything done.
So now I know why when we were in Arizona a couple of years ago, you called the mountain that we climbed a hill, because it is a hill compared to what you've done. So we're in Arizona. There's a group of us out there at this EXP conference, and being a nature guy, first thing Ryan thinks of is, hey, let's go climb a hill in the morning. I've never climbed a hill.
To be fair, it was called Mount something.
Yeah, it was definitely a mountain. So
if it takes you 2 hours to top, it's not a
So he's like, we got to go early because it's going to get hot. So I think we left at like 6:30 or something in the morning. And there was probably like 5 or 6 of us, maybe 7 of us.
A good group.
And we get there, and our Uber drops us off. And I look up, I'm like, that is definitely not a hill. And so we got out, and I remember, because it had gotten hot pretty quick. It was like 100 degrees. And I remember, even though it was, like, how many feet did we go up? Was it 3,000 or something?
Yeah, a couple thousand. And those there maybe maxed at like 6,500, 7,000. So nothing crazy with altitude or anything, but that's a hard hill workout.
And it was, especially in that heat.
Yeah.
And it was challenging.
Yeah.
It was. And I remember going up that mountain, laughing, thinking that, you convinced me to come climb a hill, but it was a mountain to me because I'd never climbed a mountain before. But what was interesting about that is knowing people have died out in the desert climbing mountains, and it was hard. Like, you could literally slip.
You said something like that to me. I think what it was you pulled out your phone. We're gonna do a social media post, and you're like, "Hey, I'm out in Arizona climbing a mountain." I was like, "Dude, that's a hill." And that one boy, like, "Man, people die on mountains." Like, I was like, "Dude, you're not gonna die. We'll be all right."
But I will say though, I felt more confident because I was with you, and you've been climbing mountains versus me doing that by myself. But I realized that you could fall because, like you said, coming down, you're like, it's not like you're walking on a bike path. This is like gravel and dirt and rocks where you could technically slip and fall and die.
Yep. You get hit by a car when you walk out of a building,
that too,
right?
yeah.
So it's
But it
like
was fun,
you
though.
but you got to see that hard work,
And it was hard.
and then you get to the top,
Yep.
and you see this most incredible view of Scottsdale and
Yep.
the Desert Valley, and
Yeah.
that makes it. You don't even think about your legs being
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah. No. But then you got to go down.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which was fun.
yeah.
But I want to talk about your journey because you've been in the real estate industry for a long time. You've been crushing
I
it.
think I'm in my 24th year.
24th year. You've been crushing it. And anytime I bring somebody on to talk about real estate, what I found, maybe it's different for you, I don't know. But what I found is nobody really grows up saying, I'm going to be in real estate. You kind of just fall into real estate. Is that how it happened with you? Or
I'm not even sure if I like real estate. There's days I'm trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? And I think I've been doing this long enough. I'm 44. I guess I'll just be a real estate agent.
It's interesting because even my guest that I had on this morning earlier that I was interviewing, he had said, like, never planned on ever being in real estate or whatsoever. But yet God used that path for him and has done incredible things through the journey of real estate in his life. And so 24 years, so that would have made you 20 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. So you got in really young. How did it happen?
Yeah. Well, I've been working since I was 14. So work is something I've known, and, without getting into sharing my whole story, I think work got me through some tough times too.
Yeah.
So I have a good work ethic.
Yeah.
Helped me survival mode, right? Make it through what I came through and where I came from. But because of that and some circumstances, I wasn't looking to go to college. No one was telling me to go. So I was working probably 40 hours a week in high school.
Yeah.
And I had a really good job where I worked for an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he was a crooked entrepreneur, so I learned a lot of good about business and a lot of bad.
Yeah.
But all right, well, I'm going to start a business then when I get out of high school. And I had a job at a restaurant, but then I started like an odd jobs, power washing decks, painting fences.
Yep.
Then I parlayed that into like an official painting and improvements company, where we're doing $100,000 6-color historic paint jobs downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan, right?
Wow.
It's going good. My job was to go out and land the business. I went and sat at a restaurant for lunch. I stopped in, I sat at the bar to eat because I was by myself. And I'm social, so I get chatting with the guy next to me, and he's a real estate broker.
Yeah.
And after the conversation, he was like, hey, you should come talk to me about real estate sometime. I did, and light bulb went off. Why paint homes when you can sell them?
Right.
So I got, that was my entry to it. But the one thing I had remembered, that job I had in high school at this, it's kind of like a private athletic club, but it was all businessmen.
Yeah.
Like I was illegally the bartender when I was 16, 17, bringing these guys drinks and stuff at the club when they were done working out or playing basketball. And it's funny, one guy would give me these like crinkled up $100 bills from his pocket that must have been in there for years. And they look like dirty and smelly. He's like, I'll slowly put you through college, Ryan. But what I remember, because I'd listened to the conversations, is a bunch of those guys had something to do with real estate.
Wow.
So that was the first time real estate entered my head as, okay, a lot of wealthy guys, real estate. Because I don't come from money at all.
Right.
Right? So new exposure for me. But then fast forward to that story of sitting at the bar talking to a real estate broker. And so 20 years ago, I got in it, and here we are, right?
That's awesome.
Turned 44 this year, and in my 24th year.
That's awesome. So you've done a lot of cool things in real estate. You've been the president of the board of realtors in Grand Rapids. You had your own brokerage for how many years?
15.
15. Had a property management company.
Yep.
What other, didn't you have, was there construction company?
I've probably flipped 150 houses and
owned commercial buildings.
30 rentals. I've developed some buildings. I've pretty much, I think for me, for kind of maybe the typical ADD entrepreneur,
right?
What's so cool about real estate is, I thought I was just getting my residential salesperson license and I could help a friend buy a house or help a friend sell a house.
Yep.
I didn't know under that real estate umbrella, I did all those things that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
I did all that with just a real estate license.
Right.
And so for someone like me who doesn't, who can't concentrate and is distracted easily, like, right, if there was a moment where my staff was like, you are only allowed to start one LLC per year.
Yeah.
Because I'd just be like, well, let's just start a company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what's cool is I remember when I first started working for Jeff Glover, and I was thinking about all these different things I could be doing. He said, Justin, under the umbrella of real estate, you can do anything. You can do so many things. And I didn't understand it at that time, but now I see how real estate just opens up a lot of opportunities and doors for you. And so you started Blue House, right? Was it Blue House Real Estate, Blue House Property Management, and Blue House Construction?
Yeah. I mean, I went to work for that guy I met at the bar.
Okay. That's how it started.
Small brokerage.
Yep.
Roughly 2 years. Left, went to Keller Williams.
Yep.
Which now is a behemoth, but they only had like 15,000 agents when I was there in like 2002.
Yep.
Probably should have stayed. I didn't realize that was going to become such a big thing.
Right.
Left there after 2 years. I think 2 years is about my attention span.
Yeah.
Went to my buddy who owned a law firm said, hey, I want you to start a real estate brokerage for me and handle the legal clients' real estate deals.
Yeah.
So I did this thing with him. That was about 2 years. And then I started Blue House.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran that for 15, 16 years and turned that over to EXP Realty just a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Blue House Properties is still open.
Yep.
Still licensed brokerage, but all our deals run through EXP.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that path, the market was crashing in '08 when I opened Blue House, which this is noteworthy. It's '08. I'm thinking about opening a brokerage, and someone told me that I was crazy to open a real estate brokerage when the market was crashing.
Right.
God's direct word to me was, give him the glory and he'll make me wildly successful.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the market's crashing or not.
Right.
So, and every year since '08, we went up
Yeah.
in business and revenue.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth, if that encourages someone, don't always take the advice. And
Yeah.
one local realtor broker said, most small brokerages fail, right? And
Right. There's always going to be doubters.
it's funny because 2 years later, when I saw her building in foreclosure, I was going to call her, but I'm not like that, so I didn't. But
what's awesome is you went on this journey, and as a young entrepreneur, I think like a lot of young entrepreneurs, you want to build this. You want to build this enterprise. You want to build this huge thing, and you did, right? You had a brokerage, you had a property management company, then you had a construction company. And when I met you, you're like, I want to close it down.
yeah.
And because a lot of times people think like building this big old thing is really what you want, and then you get there and you're like,
It's not all that's cracked up to be.
this isn't what I envisioned it to be.
Yeah.
And I think as you get older, you start to look at your time, right, and spending it a certain way, doing the things like you love versus being tied to this thing. And so what made you kind of transition from continuing to build bigger versus what you've done is actually over the last couple of years is you've simplified things, you're back to selling, and you're saying, I'm making more money and I'm enjoying life more.
How much time do we have?
We have 15 more minutes.
Let me, this might be worth sharing then.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
I think when you're in business, and especially real estate, there is a lot of push to get bigger, be the best, be the top 10, be the number one, have the biggest team, close the most deals. So I was on that path.
Yeah.
And I've got an unhealthy work ethic, so this is like ripe for me.
Yeah.
Man, all these paths under this umbrella, like I'll just do it all, right? It was 2019. I was really good at culture for my team. And I think we had about 28 employees total between the different companies.
Yep.
I did a quarterly meeting every quarter where we would go off site, pick a cool location. This one was at Frederick Meyer Garden Sculpture Park in Grand Rapids. I'd hire a couple speakers and we'd just do like planning and we'd get educated like a day away from work.
Yep.
And this one I invited everyone.
Yeah.
The construction guys, the property management guys, the realtors, all my staff. And I challenge everybody to share their why with everyone, take 2 minutes, share your why. So if I ask people to do that, then I'll do it too.
Yeah.
So I sit down to write my why and I couldn't.
Wow.
And I was like, man, do I even like real estate? Like I had to sit down and reflect, say, how'd I get here? And what I realized was I've been in survival mode since I was 14.
Yeah.
And work ethic was a vice for me. And to get through things, I just work. I work.
Yep.
And I don't know anything else. Thank the Lord, my vice is work ethic.
Right.
Right? Because then at least I'm doing all right, have money in my pocket, right? I could have had some worse vices.
Yeah.
But like I survived. I made it. But I'm still working like I'm not going to have it next week.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I enjoy this.
Right.
Do I even like these people who work for me? Like I'm good at it. Maybe God gave me a gift, but I'm not a fake person. And this is always a hard one. So like, I come in, I have a mission statement. We have goals. I rally the team, but I don't believe in them.
Right.
And I'm not going to show up and tell everybody that. But so I end up writing a why that fits. Like I like to help other people discover their whys, right? Like I just made it work.
Yeah.
Man, some of the people start sharing their whys though that day. tears flowing. You know, my parents almost disowned me because I became a realtor, not a doctor, not a lawyer. Like,
wow.
I was impressed. Speaker gets up, and I never tell a speaker what they have to talk about.
Right.
And I'm listening, but I'm sitting in the back because I'm the one leading it, right?
Yep.
And he says, you can't give somebody something you don't have.
Yeah.
And that just hit me in the heart and the spirit. And I looked up, and then he said, transformation starts within. Man, do I have it all together? Are my finances together? Is my marriage together? Is my health together? And here I am trying to lead these people and tell them. So that was man, I kind of got smacked on that one, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like pretty excited, like I'm going to make some changes. Well, that lasts a week. You get back in your routine. You're stressed. You're tired. You forget about it.
Yeah.
Then I have a meeting with my attorney, who's also a friend, because he went to high school with me, but he's been with me since the beginning. He started my LLCs, and I'm talking to him. I'm kind of venting about stuff, and he's like, "You're not a business owner." And the way he said it to me, I was like, "You want to fight? Like, what do you mean I'm not a business owner?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "You have 4 jobs. What owner activities are you doing?"
Wow.
He's like, business owners deal with the commas. You're still dealing with the decimals.
Wow.
So I got smacked around there, right?
Yep.
All right, I got to make some changes. And thank the Lord that he was going to stay after me until I got the message.
Yeah.
And I'll try to fast forward this. But then like a week or two later, I'm on a coaching call.
Yeah.
And he said, if you're not for you, who else could be or who else should be? I was like, I'm not even a fan of myself.
Wow.
I don't even know if I...
Yeah.
So why would anyone else want to follow me if I don't want to follow, if I'm not championing myself?
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of selfish. I put everybody else first. I would probably pay staff over taking my family on a trip.
Right.
But if I'm not taking care of myself and a good example, then why would anyone else want, right?
Yeah.
So that hit me. That same coach, I'm at a mastermind in Texas with them. And I've had a great, I'll say God's helped me there, but I find a way to get into rooms where I'm the poorest guy in the room and there's big hitters.
Best room to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's probably 18 of us from around the country, very successful real estate agents. And we had to do an exercise of what's your end number.
Yeah.
So when Blue House hits $10 million, I'll be done.
Yeah.
And I kind of refuse to do the exercise because I'm not really in this. I don't have an end goal or number. I'm just like happy, man. I made it from where I came from. I made it. It was my turn to talk and share my number. And I was like, well, hey, you know, where I come from, like I made it. And the guy stops me. And the way he stopped me, I was like, I'm about to get smacked. I know what's coming. This has been happening to me like once every 2 weeks, right? And he was just like, oh, that's great, Ryan. Like, you know, we all know you and know your story, and that's probably why we like you, and it's probably why you've been successful. Are you going to hold on to that forever? Change your story.
Wow.
And the way he said that with conviction, he's like, what's your new story? What's your legacy? So now I've got a comma on my desk at work on my wall, and I got change your story, right? Because I keep getting these messages. So now I'm really ready to make some big changes. And then I go down to Glover U in Orlando.
Yep.
And I think that's one where maybe I spoke at. And
you did. You were on a panel.
Yeah. So same thing, like you're on a panel, but you're also a guest there. So you listen, you're an attendee, you listen to other ones. So I think I'm sitting in the back again and ADD, probably doodling, you know, or something. And Matt Sutter's on stage speaking, who we both know, great dude. And he says, hey, he gives this scenario. And this might not be word for word, but this is what I heard. And this is what helped change my life. So he goes, the state of Florida puts out a bid to build a 5-lane highway from coast to coast. Congratulations, you got the job. What do you do? Get a bunch of workers, get a bunch of material, build 5 miles of the first lane, then build 5 miles of the second lane. And he's a good speaker, salesman. I'm like, yeah, that's what I do.
Yep.
Right. And then he's like, no, you stupid. I think he might have swore, you stupid realtors.
Yeah.
You guys have a good thing going. You got a team, you're getting referrals, and you're like, oh, I should go flip houses. Oh, I should start a construction company. Oh, I should start a prop. I'm like, who told this guy about me? He's naming everything I got going on. I'm like, what do I got back home? Like 11 quarter lanes?
Yeah.
You know, I maybe had 1 lane finish, but the moral of that story was build 1 lane, get it running so smooth that someone would be begging you for your job to replace you, replace yourself.
Yep.
Now you're getting income from that, and then build the second lane. That's how you build legacy.
Yeah.
So I go out and I tell Kate Simon, my coach, I'm all excited, and she goes, don't take this the wrong way, Ryan, but I'm going to fire you. I don't want to be your coach anymore. I was like, what? Man, I'm just having a rough couple of months here.
Wow.
And she goes, you should hire Matt to be your coach.
Yeah.
So my first call, Matt's like, all right, tell me about your construction company. He's like, what do you make a year? And I laughed. And he's like, why are you laughing? I go, I don't even know if I make money from from that company. He's like, all right, that's weird. Like most guys go into business to make money.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's a good support company. He's like, okay, just pretend.
Yeah.
Right. What? I said, well, if that netted me $100,000 a year, that'd be awesome. He's like, yeah, that's good. That's good. He goes, now remember, didn't we just talk about your real estate business and how you lose $10 to $15 million a year in past clients and referrals because you're so distracted and unorganized? I go, yeah. He goes, what's the commission on that? I said, 300 to 450,000. He goes, okay. So you're okay giving up 400,000 to maybe make 100 if everything goes right in your construction company?
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh. He's like, what do you need to do? I go, I need to close it. I go, yeah. He goes, all right, let's talk about property management. I was like, nope, I need to get rid of it.
So you knew in that one conversation.
So it took like 3-4 months, and all those people had to come into my life and smack me. But it was life changing. And so it's not all that it's cracked up to be. I think if you could pull the curtains back on a lot of businesses and teams, are they really netting a lot? Are they enjoying it? Are they struggling? Now, some of that is because I wasn't running things right. Right. If I go back and start over, I'll do things different and build the lane and have the right people in place. So a lot of that I put on me.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to escape it.
And it's a learning experience.
Yeah. So there you go. Long story, but that.
No, I love that. And so today you've closed those down. Today you've got a team at EXP, which you're making some residual on. You've got a lot of deals that you're working. You're crushing it right now.
I'm back to Ryan the Realtor. Started 24 years ago, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Closing more deals than I ever have and netting more.
Yeah.
Because before, great, I'm the biggest team and we close 300 some deals and make 2.5 million in commission, but I only get to keep X.
Right. And yet all the stress and all the time and all the commitment versus what you're doing now, you're keeping them pretty much everything. And you don't have to worry about the stress of
I have
all
no
the other
expenses.
stuff.
I have no staff. And who knows? It might just be a season in my life.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the first time in my life where I took a little bit of a break and took the foot off the pedal and said, what do you want to do? Like, take your time, figure some stuff out. I'm scared that, I thought that'd be like a year and we're going on like year 3 now.
Yeah.
But I just lost one kid, right, who just graduated high school. I got 2 more for 6 years. I'll start a big team when they're gone.
Yeah.
You can always get big again if you want.
Yep. But you only get this period of time that you don't get back.
Yeah. Getting smaller made life better for me.
Yeah. I love that. And it's funny how you reevaluate things when you're 40.
Yeah.
I'm 41. And so I've been reevaluating a lot of things like non-negotiable. I'm at my son's football practice every night. I just turned down a speaking engagement in front of like 5,000 people on Saturday, September, I think it's 13th, because that's the day my son's playing football. And I made a commitment. It's a non-negotiable. I'm not missing my kids' games. And you just change how what's important changes as you get older.
Yep. And I think what's big, if I had to share a word of encouragement for, let's pretend it's a lot of realtors listening, right? Or other business. You don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to be the top 100. You don't have to. Nothing wrong with it. And there's some great teachings to do that and have a big team. And if you do it the right way, it can be super rewarding. But comparison, right? I feel like our business is full of comparison, especially
that's
with
the industry.
Social media. And comparison is the thief of joy.
It is.
And I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people thought I was happy. I mean, some people were like, can't believe you just got rid of all that. Well, you don't know the behind the scenes on Friday night. And, when you have $73,000 due by Friday for payroll and you have no money. Right. Like, you don't understand the stress that comes with small business sometimes.
Right.
So it's okay to get smaller and take a step back. And
I love that.
Yeah. So
good. So you're out of Grand Rapids. We're a little bit out of time.
Okay.
Well, how can people get a hold of you? Because I refer all my referrals to you in Grand Rapids. You're an amazing agent. You're doing a lot of great things. How can people get a hold of you? Not even just for real estate, but if they want to reach out, they want to connect, they want to learn more about you and connecting with you, how can people reach you?
Very simple would be, I have a website that kind of covers all my businesses and me, and it's my name. So it's ryanogle.com.
ryanogle.com.
Yeah. And my email is ryan@ryanogle.com.
Yeah.
So
no, I love that.
And I'm an open book.
Yeah.
If someone hears this and wants some more information or some more detail on the story or wants to have coffee, hit me up.
Yeah, connect with Ryan. And again, if you have anybody moving to Grand Rapids, definitely refer them to Ryan.
Yeah, of course. Still active. Ryan the Realtor. Love doing it. Love helping people. More importantly, I don't push people, right? Like, I'm going to do what's right for them. I'm going to tell them that house isn't good for them. And take care of people. Do things the right way, and you're taken care of.
Or if you ever want to climb a hill or a mountain.
I'm trying to plan another mountain climb right now. So I'm always... I put that out to 100 guys, and the one guy in my office who said yes, I was shocked that he was the one who said yes. So I'm always down to have an adventure with whoever.
This is the adventure guy for sure. Ryan, I appreciate you, man. I'm glad you came on the show. I wish we had more time, but we'll have to do it again for sure. I appreciate your story. And it's definitely encouraging.
You got to share it because it happened to me, and you can learn from others. Hopefully it's encouraging to someone.
Yeah.
But thanks for the opportunity. And
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for coming on.
Good stuff, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Justin Ford Podcast. RyanOgle.com. Real simple. I wish I had my own domain, but it was already taken. Justin Ford, I guess, is a pretty popular name, but RyanOgle.com. If you have a client that's looking to move into Grand Rapids, he's definitely the guy. If you want to learn more about his real estate journey, more about EXP, more about climbing mountains or hills, depending on the size, definitely reach out to Ryan. Guys, if you love the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. If you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a review. Feel free to follow me on social media at the official Justin Ford. You can also find Ryan on social media. Before we wrap up the show, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is not just a sponsor on the show. This is the lender that we send all of our buyers to here at the Justin Ford Real Estate Team. They have over 1,000 5-star reviews, a perfect Better Business Bureau rating. If you're purchasing a home this year and you need to get pre-approved, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. If you own a home and you want to refinance, take some cash out, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. And if you're a real estate agent looking for a great real estate partner or mortgage lender partner, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Two things I always like to leave you with. Number one, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And then number two, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.